Hello friends, today we are going to see first chapter of science of class 8. The chapter's name is Living World and Classification of Microbes. First we are going to understand the meaning of the title Living World. What is it? Living world is nothing but all plants and animals present in whole world. They are called as living world. Then next thing, classification of microbes we are going to see here. Classification of microbes. Who are the microbes? What are they are? Microbes are the tiny organisms which are everywhere around us, but we cannot see these organisms with our eyes. They can see by only microscope. Okay. Now, what is classification? Classification is arrangement of lot of things according to their characteristics. We cannot study each and every organism, each and every plant, each and every animal. So what scientists had did, they classify the organisms according to their characteristics. This is the classification and need of classification. Now, when we see in the history of classification, we have to remember all these names. First is Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus is a scientist who tried to classify the organisms in two kingdoms, Vegetabilia and Animalia. This is the first step toward the classification. And first step is by Carl Linnaeus, and he divided all living world in two groups. One is Vegetabilia and another is Animalia. Vegetabilia means plants and other one is animal. Then the second step toward the classification, or we can say second step in the classification, Haeckel, the scientist named Haeckel, who added one more group in the classification. The previous Vegetabilia and Animalia means plant and animals, and Haeckel added one more group, Protista there. Okay, means Haeckel divided living world in three groups. One is Protista, plants and animals. Next time scientist, and the next step in a classification, we can call Chatton. This scientist, what he did the classification of microbes or cells in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. What are these prokaryote and eukaryote? Prokaryote means the cells. For example, we can draw here prokaryote means the cell in which nucleus is membraneless, means the genetic material is floating in the cytoplasm. These types of cells are prokaryote, and whenever the genetic material is enclosed in the nuclear membrane, it is called as eukaryotic cell. So Chatton first derived prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The next step in the history of classification, Copeland, scientist named Copeland, have done four kingdom classification. He added Monera group in the Haeckel's classification of three kingdom. Means Haeckel derived three kingdom classification, Protista, plant and animal, and further Copeland added Monera in that, and four kingdom classification is done by Copeland, Monera, Protista, plants and animals. This is the history of classification. First step, second step, third step, fourth step. Now, the main hero of classification, we can say, and the main character, main scientist, whose work is very crucial in the classification of living world, the name of that great scientist is Robert Whittaker, five kingdom system. He derived five kingdom system classification of living world, and this classification we are still following the Robert Whittaker's five kingdom system classification. This is the milestone in the classification of the living world. In this, Robert Whittaker used some criteria or some characteristics of living organisms to classify them into 5 groups. What are these criteria are? What are the criteria are? First is complexity of cell structure. In this complexity, as we have said, as I have explained you, complexity means it's a prokaryotic cells are there or eukaryotic cells are there. According to cell type, complexity of cell structure, this criteria firstly considered by Robert Whittaker. Second criteria considered by Robert Whittaker is complexity of organism. The organism is unicellular, means it is a simple or more complex. If organism is more complex, it will said to be what? Multicellular organism. As human being, we are multicellular and more complex organism, and we can say amoeba or paramecium, these are unicellular organism and they are very simple organism. Then the third criteria the Whittaker considered is mode of nutrition. Okay, mode of nutrition means some organisms are autotrophic, some are saprophytic, some are heterotrophic. What are they? The plants who make their own food called as autotrophs. Okay. Then saprophytic plants are who are saprophytic? Mostly the fungi are saprophytic who depends for their food on decaying dead matters. They are called as saprophyte. And heterotrophs means the other animal, including we human, are heterotrophic because we are depending on other organism or plants for our energy, for our food. Then next criteria considered by Whittaker is a lifestyle. In this, they have said that plants can say producer, plant can say to be producer. Why producer? Because plants are autotrophic and they are making their own food, so plants are said to producer. Then consumer, who are consumer? The animals which are consuming plants are called consumers. And decomposer, the animals, the organisms like fungi who are decomposing dead material or dead organisms, dead plant or dead animal are called as a decomposer. This criteria is also concerned. Then last criteria the Whittaker considered is a phylogenetic relationship. In that, phylogenetic relationship means somewhat extent it is assumed that prokaryotes to eukaryotes development has happened, means initially prokaryotes are there and they step by step develop into eukaryotes, and like that unicellular organisms are also developed into complex multicellular organisms. This we have learned about the classification. First we have looked the history of the classification and the milestone of the classification, the Robert Whittaker's work and his criteria considered for the classification of living organisms into 5 kingdoms. So friends, in this video we have seen the part first of first chapter. In next video we are going to see the next part of first chapter. If you like the video, hit the like button.